especially following that. And I'm right next to a prime target. U.S. Naval Weapons Station, Earl, is where I live, right next door. So it's a prime potential target. So, of course, I understand anxiety. We all have our own experiences. They're all different. But I'm sure everybody here who was alive on 9/11 carries anxiety with them. There's no question about that. But that does not mean that they're going to be boots on the ground. Look at the military movement into the region right now. It's air and sea support.
Gary, you know what?
Hold on, let me finish it. It's air and sea support. Do we see ground troops being sent in? Do we see amphibious landing craft being sent in? No. And by the way, I heard a great interview with someone who was, I think in the Biden administration, who said that there was a crisis involving Iran, and they moved a carrier group just offshore, with no intention of attacking Iran, but with the intention of sending a signal to Tehran that we could. It was a show of force to tell Tehran, back off. Just like a single bombing raid on Libya, one single bombing raid on Libya caused Gaddafi to back off, and one single supersonic attack, that's right, that's all it was, that shattered windows in Damascus caused Assad to back off on certain things. Sometimes you show force with no intent of using it, just showing people that you have the force. There are no movements, and I'm sure it would be all over the internet if suddenly if the President of the United States decided to activate the National Guard, not to prevent LA from burning to the ground, but sent them all to Iraq for a potential imminent attack on Iran, I would say, holy shit, we got to worry about that. But I don't see that happening. Do you?
And you can move for self-was, but
All right. I didn't remove her, by the way, if that's the question.
no,
I know I'm just saying it to her if she was removed by someone else. I think maybe she left on her own. But there are no infantry troops being moved into position. And yet we have all this screaming and hollering, we're going to get into a quagmire. Well, maybe we are. And I hope we're not. But there's no indication that there is any intent to do that. Unless, of course, the government is absolutely bold-faced lying to us, which is a possibility, that the president, even though he's been this big non-interventionist, even though he's degrading our troop strength in support of NATO, all of that, even though he's not providing the kind of support that the neocons wish that he would for Ukraine, all of that, maybe his hidden agenda is to go turn Iran into the 53rd state. 51st being Canada, the 52nd being Greenland. I don't know. Do we give up on the Panama Canal? And then the third one being Iran, with a little nod to turning Gaza into Trumpville.
So there is a more comparable use at least during the Biden administration on Biden's play out the door. He ordered the use of B-2 Spirit aircraft, bunker busters, GBUs to go after the Houthis, and it didn't go to Congress. And the Gang of Eight, as I understand it, may or may not have been briefed. I don't know about that specifically.
Probably were.
They were? Okay, good.
Said probably.
Probably. Well, my point is that the aircraft were used, and we've been, the Biden administration had been targeting the Houthis directly for at least a year or so under the Biden administration, and we didn't get into a quagmire. And Biden could be argued to be more of the Washington consensus candidate than Donald Trump is, meaning he could have been more amenable to intervention than Donald Trump seems to be.
Can you mention that
Now, I
John
just
Kitover
think that's an interesting
16 March during the
thing to compare, noting that the strike on Yemen as a sovereign country, even though, as I understand it, the country is in the middle of trying to figure out what its leader is.
Come on, do it. It's fine.
There seems to be the use of U.S. military assets in that way, and it was okay for Biden to do it, and now it's not okay for Trump to do it. I'm not a giant Trump fan, but as Anson would say, the great divide when it comes to military power is really destructive for U.S. national interests, in particular the comparison, whether it be left or right. As Anson said a couple days ago, politics really should not enter into discussions like this.
Right, okay. And also, at this point, I know there's been a lot of back and forth, which I contributed to, but we're gonna move right along, because it's 6:18, and I gotta get out the door to go to work. So let's move rapidly now, and we will now go to, we have two Davids on the stage now. David G, and David G, I wanna give you the opportunity to clarify, because I think you believe I misinterpreted you yesterday when I cut you.
Yeah, just real briefly, I just wanted to say how it sets a dangerous tone to leverage, religious positions with regard to international affairs and use of military might. That was kind of my general point there. I mean, we have people of all faiths, all stripes, atheists that serve in our military around the world. This should be about the sameness of the decisions and what's best for the American people, what's best for the state of Israel, the world at large. And I think we need to focus on the human side of things, not necessarily through the lens of whether or not God is watching us and picking who chooses to win or not. So I hope that clarifies my point. So anyway, I think Israel needs to really evaluate this decision. I think diplomacy is the way to go.